Pivot! Pivot! I am trying. There is no more room. Pivot! Just pivot it. Stuck against the wall.
Bienvenidos. I'm Kairi Mibon, your savvy kitchen explorer and global traveler.
And I'm Lulu. Welcome to the Beehive, your space for inspiration and positive energy.
Together, we're serving up Cafecito Conversations, bridging cultures, kitchens, and the soul.
We're here to help you find the grace in the in-between, one cup and one conversation at a time.
From strategies to elevate your crunch time cooking to savvy tips for your next big adventure.
To inspirations you need to keep your spirit and your community thriving.
Grab your cafecito. Let's get savvy.
Let's get inspired.
Lulu, are you a fan of the series?
Who didn't watch Friends back in the day?
I know. I think worldwide, everybody watched Friends. I think still today.
I loved it. I love Friends.
I actually just heard in the news yesterday, they still make almost 20 million a year with the reruns.
Wow. No
I
wonder
know.
these people don't work. I haven't seen them in so long.
You know which is my favorite episode?
Which one?
There's one of these episodes. It's actually, they have all the bloopers on YouTube. And it's when Ross and Chandler are trying to push a couch up the stairs. And Ross starts yelling, "Pivot! Pivot! Pivot!"
Pivot!
Yes.
Pivot! Pivot! Oh, isn't that part of life?
I know. I feel like I hear that voice in my head, I think, every single day. I mean, today our topic today is the art of the pivot. You know, sudden changes that happen in life. And, you know, we have some really nice stories written in our script. But, you know, just so you guys know, we are not the savviest techie ladies sitting right here.
What are you talking about? We are super savvy. We just had we had to pivot today.
Yes.
Because we got confronted with challenges, and that's what happened in life. And you have to just turn it around and figure it out.
So, like you guys, we're just along here for the ride. We are all learning step by step.
Pivoting.
So we had to pivot. We had to spend the first hour of our session trying to figure out the computer system, which we didn't quite figure it out. But if you can hear us now, that means we're recording, and that's all that counts.
You know, when you got to do it, you got to do it. You can't think about it. You just have to like roll with it. Pivot. Pivot. Now it's not going to get out of my head right now.
I know, but that's why I'm so happy I have my cafecito in my hand, because if not...
Yes, ma'am. Here it is.
Yeah, we wouldn't make it the rest of the day. But that's why I love my coffee. You know, we could be sitting here stressing out and it will bring me calm and peace. And I could be sitting in Austria with my grandpa, like we mentioned in our first pilot episode, and just enjoying a nice cappuccino on an Austrian cafe. And I could be in Puerto Rico with my parents or with friends, just having coffee, or here with you. And, you know, thank you, coffee, for grounding us, letting us be here to express ourselves, the good, the bad, the ugly, and to learn from each other in conversation.
Yeah, it's like a bridge, the ultimate bridge. Whether if it's like a tiny little coffee or a mug that you have, like it tells you that we're here, I'm here with you, you know, and we take each other and we just have to slow down, and, you know, that's enough. And, you know, we have to hear each other and heal one another too.
Exactly. One cafecito at a time.
One cafecito at a time. Let's talk about emotional courage, this thing about pivot. Why do you think we resist the shift, and how do we find peace when our couch is stuck on the stairs? What is the biggest pivot in your life, Karim?
Biggest pivot. You know what? I was the queen of pivoting.
You were?
Yes.
What do you mean you were?
Oh, yeah. First, I was a ballet dancer for 17 years. So pivot turn was in every routine, in every class. But I used to be a gypsy at heart. And after I went to college at 17, I packed my suitcase and I never unpacked it until I was 27, or almost 28, that I got married.
Wow.
Yes, I've been all over the place, and I I really enjoyed being able to be in different places and redo my personality or how do I say it? I just really enjoyed starting from scratch every single time I moved to a different place. So at 17, I went to college in Boston, in the suburbs of Boston, in Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts. Shout out Endicott. I studied communications and PR and cinematography. And I studied abroad, went to Austria for a semester, graduated. I found a job traveling through the US, and I've been on the road for as many years as you can count. I've lived in over 9 different places. Every time I had to pack my little carry-on because no way I did the large suitcase. I was just so happy to get on that flight or on that train or on that car and find myself going to a new place and meeting new people. But really, the biggest pivot of my life happened when I stopped pivoting.
Really?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, 10 years of being happily married with our family in Pensacola,
But
setting roots, which I don't know what setting roots is. I've never been rooted in one place or stuck in one place. But Pensacola had this charm that just let our family set roots.
it still does. Like I miss it so much. I miss Pensacola. But anyhow, do you think you stopped pivoting just because you move and just settle? I'm pretty sure that your life was pivoting all the time with tons of changes regardless of, not moving.
It was, but not the kind that would really change my mindset of life. You know, you're a parent, you go day by day, you're not even thinking of all the 1,000 pivots that happen in a day. The biggest pivot was having to kind of wake up one morning and have to dig out those roots and move to a new place, which is where we're at right now. It's going to be almost a year in August. And that change I wasn't ready for. But, being the grown up of the house and being the parent. And,
You're the only grown up of that.
mommies are always the only grown up in the house.
I
I've got
don't know.
a really big kid and then 2 little ones.
I'm the baby in the house. Like, believe it or not, I'm the baby in the house. I don't think I'm the grown up sometimes. I think like the roles change between husband and wife sometimes, and you become a child sometimes. I love to be loved. Like to be pampered, and I feel like they love when they see that you need them. You know.
I like giving love. So that's why I'm always, making sure they're dressed nicely or that they have their shoes cleaned or that they have their beautiful breakfast on a Sunday morning or, heart-shaped pancakes or Mickey Mouse-shaped pancakes and that kind of thing. But still, it's, once, especially my husband, who's the one that is, of course, overworked. He didn't have time to think about the change. He just needed to know that he could go through this transition without hiccups. And then the kids, that was the hardest part. I had to be strong for them because this is something that they really did not even imagine happening, of us moving away from where they had actually set roots themselves. Even though they got there when they were little. My daughter was in pre-K and my son was 2 years old. But, it just took a lot of hard work and courage from my part, I have to say. And I would never admit it until right now that we're sitting here. To be able to tell you now that it was a successful pivot. And now everybody in the house even agrees that it was for the best. And I'm so happy that I'm here. And it got me sitting here with you.
Yes, yes. I mean, honestly, I never knew that this was going to happen. I knew that we had a connection. I knew that there was something there. The minute I met you, like there's something with this girl that it's going to happen. Something is going to happen, even though we didn't talk at all when we were there. It's just the fact of spending the most important days of the year together. It just makes it a huge difference. But I'm pretty sure that even you see your husband calm and collected, they were also like feeling that little nudge of like, yes, we're making this big step, and they're acting all grown up and, adapting really quickly because that's their job. They need to adapt right away.
Yeah, well, there's no looking back, And maybe they learned that from us. We just push forward. We push forward so hard that we forget to look back. And maybe that's the best that needs to happen. Don't look back. You can then look back, reminisce the good time, just enjoy the memories and build new ones.
You said you were talking about like how you change and manage life changes that just happened right now. Do you make any plans? How do you think your kids get affected by this? I mean, I'm you just mentioned that they are now okay with it, but how did it happen at first?
Well, for me, it's all about the kitchen table approach. My kids were 11 and 14 at the time, and those are pivotal ages where they need to feel heard. My husband and I used a 3-step strategy. Well, I used a 3-step strategy, and I sort of like reverse psychology it to him to make sure that they weren't just along for the ride, but that they were part of our crew.
What are these 3 steps that you actually take? I mean, from the table approach, the kitchen table, because I love your food. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, let's come over. Like, I'll be cooking something. You can bring whatever you want, and I'm like, I think I was just gonna give her money because I don't want to bring anything. Like, like whatever I do is not gonna be as good as Guide's.
Well, we'll get to that later. But of course, it all started with cooking their favorite meal, which is spaghetti bolognese.
Yummy.
And when my husband and I first made the decision, we decided to do step number 1, include them in all our conversations.
Oh, I think that's very important to include your kids in everything. We do the same.
Yeah, early inclusion is the best part because, they understand. They have opinions. And we didn't wait until the boxes were packed. We brought them into the conversation a year early. Even if they oppose the idea, giving them some time to kind of register it, talk to their friends, and process the possibility of the change that was coming was crucial for them. And then I tried to create a fun context around it. Before we talked logistics, we talked about the lifestyle, what they were looking forward to have in their new home, in the new area where they live. Did they want to try a different sport? Is there a specific museum that they're looking forward to visit? And of course, we gave them the location we were moving to for them to research because nowadays, so all the kids have either a computer at home where they can just Google locations and Google what to do. And of course, the first thing they looked for were arcades.
Yes.
Which, needless to say, there are no
Or
arcades
parks.
in our area.
Or
Just
parks.
so we know.
Oh yeah, that's
There's-
a good business.
There's no arcades.
Putting it out there, people. I mean, haven't you noticed like everybody that lives around here is a business owner of some sorts? Like
Yes.
everybody is. I'm gonna say this word. Do not judge because ¿cómo se dice eso? I budget. I chop it. I I don't know how to say this word. Like everybody would make fun of me. It's like entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yes, business owners.
Correctly said.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you mentioned those 3 things. So early inclusion from the first, creating fun context, letting them know, what are the things that they can do, and then real agency, basically what's around us that they can do.
And, in real agencies, more with every house hunting trip we took down here, even though if it was a 24-hour trip from Pensacola with our Spirit Airlines flight that no longer exists.
Blessed spirit.
Oh, that was a great flight, Pensacola, Orlando. And here we always brought them with us. We tried not to skip school or anything, but they came, they saw the houses, they had opinions, and it was interesting because they started even asking our realtor for questions.
That's great.
They became these little, I don't know, brainiacs when it comes to house hunting, and they even asked for square footage and the land size and how about the HOA rules and those kind of things because they were very specific with what they wanted. Amongst that, they got to pick their bedrooms, and we went try to find the best pizza in town and just including them, made them feel comfortable in this new area.
That leads me to the question to you. So you think you're that kind of mom that gives your kids choices to make? Does that mean that they choose the destination that they want to go to?
To be honest, I am not that kind of mom.
Ah.
Sorry. There's a difference between giving them choices to choose from and making them think that they're given the choices. I think that there are certain things in their lives that demand being chosen for them because they don't have the maturity to choose for themselves.
No.
Like, what's for dinner? Yeah, of course, they're going to want pizza every night for dinner.
Yeah.
Or burgers or McDonald's or whatever. But, is it really smart of me as a mom? Is it really, ¿cómo se dice?
Do you like you give them options basically for them to just because they need to learn how to choose things, right?
Well, I don't give them the options.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Oh, wow, that's
I don't,
interesting.
because as a grown up, as the one that has to support them and make sure they're healthy and they succeed in life physically and emotionally, I choose for them because at 12 and 15, they want the pizza and the burger.
So you're a dictator.
I'm a little bit of a, so, I tell them they know Fridays is Pizza Fridays. They get to choose whichever they want. Papa John's, I'd rather go to Per Cocos, which is just down the street, which is a locally owned pizzeria. No, I need to make sure they eat healthy, at least during the week when everybody has a structure and a routine. We keep things healthy. Of course, it's a topic for another episode, which is how I manage my meals during the week, especially when everybody's all over the place. But, I make sure to stick to the healthier side, more of a European diet mixed with a Hispanic diet and a little bit of diversity, but at the same time, health for me is the number one important thing. So I don't think I don't really give them the option of what they want to eat because, they can barely choose what shirt they're going to wear that day. There has to be a balance. Definitely has to be a balance.
Yeah, totally.
So what is your philosophy when it comes to that?
I'm sometimes I'm a dictator, sometimes I'm a Democrat. Like, I do give them options though. I give them options of like what to choose, what to do. I am all with you with the learning of like letting them know ahead of time. So I'm always prepping them because my husband's job is different than yours. We get to move every so often whenever they tell us. So it's like we're pivoting like at the moment. It's like, which I love. I love changes. Like I mentioned that in our pilot episode that I love changes. I like to adjust to every challenge or situation. And some people don't like changes. Honestly, yes, I don't like changes when I get used to it. But yes, my boys love to be part of our decision. But there are certain situations where no, you're doing what I'm telling you and that's it. It is what it is. Like there's no other option, especially when it comes to family, when we all have to do something together. If one wants taco, the other one wants a burger, then daddy wants pizza and I want pasta. Like we need to choose a place where like it'll fit the whole family. It is what it is. We go into a vote and we vote together and this is the civilized part of our family. But I'm all with you that sometimes you do have to tell your people and your kids what to do or what do you want. I feel like that's one of the main things to have a purpose in life when you know what you want.
Well, having a controlled setting, you can give them decisions when it comes to a controlled setting because then when it comes to the point in their lives that there is a big change, that big pivot, if they don't know how to control their mindset, with the people that are around them and with themselves, it will hit them hard. Like for example, when my daughter goes to college in a few years, that's going to be a big change.
That's why you start prepping them like ahead of time. So I do input the Lulu's Beehive philosophy of focusing on the sweetness of keeping routines, breakfast in the morning during the week. Now they just, travel on their bikes to school. They take out their own clothes. Like they put their clothes away. They help me with the trash. Like they have like their own habits that we discussed earlier. And I like to make them feel that they're a part of the whole family, not that I'm always telling them what to do.
Yeah, well, that structure is what's going to help them make it through life with less pain or less problems, less obstacles.
Yeah.
And even less mental health issues.
Correct.
Because they already have a mindset. They already know how to stick to a plan. And, maybe they don't listen to us. Maybe they detest us every time we have to make a decision for them. But eventually they'll understand and they'll implement it in their lives, maybe in their own ways. But then, when they're out there at a friend's house having a sleepover, and they had pizza earlier that day, there is a pizza and a burger and a bowl of rice and beans to choose from. They're going to know, okay, I had a pizza this morning, or I had a pizza yesterday or today for lunch. Maybe I should go for that bowl of rice and beans. That's my hope, at least, that it just gets tattooed in their brains to make wise choices. That makes them smarter emotionally and mentally.
Yeah, I love that. I love the way that you use this type of process because you bring everybody together. Because what you did there is not just a strategy; it's like an alignment. It creates a space where they shift, and they're not feeling forced, and they feel safe, and they feel like they've been seen. And that is actually how manifestation works when you're pivoting. It's not about controlling every outcome that happens. It's about aligning your mind with what God is already doing for you. And because you have to make that move, you have to make that step and create these thoughts of that you're not living in that old season. You can struggle and also receive a new season at the same time. When you're pivoting, it has to be intentional. You have to speak like it's working. You see yourself in it and thank God for it. In the Bible, in Hebrew 11:1, it says, faith is the realization of what is hoped for, the evidence of things that are not seen. So when you don't see something, that doesn't mean that it's not there, right? Like, so you just have to believe. So you just don't pivot. You pivot with a vision. You pivot with faith. You pivot with knowing that God is already ahead of you. And I leave you with this. Act as if you already praying for and it's already on its way. So stay aligned, trust the shift, and keep creating your honey.
It's amazing. Oh God, pivoting.
I went philosophical in that one, right?
We're all my friends, chicas, queridas. Believe me, we have so many fun episodes coming along your way. And we're talking about everything. We're talking about hurricane season, packing for the summer, so many topics to discuss and so many conversations to have. And eventually, hopefully, we'll have a few guests tagging along to inspire us or maybe teach us a few things about life and how to enjoy our coffee.
That's right. And
One sip at a time.
we have to feel intentional, and we can't do this alone. We can't navigate this limbo land alone. We have to do it together.
Exactly.
One coffee at a time.
One coffee at a time. And eventually we'll do a mimosa once in a while, okay?
Ooh,
Don't
can't
worry.
wait.
We got the mimosa coming at some point.
I'm ready. I can drink. It's about time.
It's past noon.
Yeah. It's noon somewhere.
Well, don't forget to like our podcast, subscribe. And if you want to learn more about us, follow us in our social media. You can find me in Instagram at From My Kitchen to the World LLC. And you can access my website at kairimyvonne.com. It's spelled in the notes of this episode. And there you can find a lot of information for your summer travels, global perspectives, and a few recipes of mine that you might enjoy doing this summer.
And if you want to hear or listen or save on Instagram some positive mindset shift that help you encourage your life, you just have to follow me on Instagram at lulus.beehive. And I can't wait for you to follow me and, help me grow my my crowd and make my beehive bigger.